In the modern world, capitalism is often seen as the dominant economic system, driven largely by self-interest and the pursuit of wealth. For billionaires and others at the top of the system, wealth accumulation can become an end in itself, akin to a dragon perched on its treasure hoard, driven by primal instincts rooted in the reptilian brain, which is associated with basic survival, security, and dominance. This instinctual drive can lead to behavior that prioritizes personal gain over the collective good, often resulting in significant economic and social inequalities. For most people, however, the pursuit of wealth is not an end in itself, but rather a means to achieve a better quality of life. Yet, within a capitalist framework, the focus on market-driven competition and individual success can often overshadow more altruistic goals, leading to a society where material worth is valued over moral or spiritual contributions. Howdy, I'm just some random nude dude sitting in my closet talking to myself. It's also where I celebrate the power of free thinking and encourage bold ideas. As a society, we're often afraid to challenge the norms and think outside the box. But here, I embrace the unconventional. So sit back, relax, and join me on this journey of exploration, where we embrace our inner nude dude and push boundaries to discover new perspectives. In contemporary society, capitalism is often regarded as the dominant economic model, driven by the Ferengi principles of self-interest, competition, and the pursuit of profit. This system has undoubtedly spurred innovation, economic growth, and material wealth on an unprecedented scale. However, it has also led to significant social and economic inequalities, environmental degradation, and a growing sense of alienation among individuals who feel disconnected from their communities and from the natural world. At the heart of capitalism lies the notion that individuals, particularly those with significant wealth, are primarily motivated by self-interest, leading to the accumulation of wealth as an end in itself. This focus on material success can overshadow other important aspects of human life, such as quality of life, social cohesion, and ethical living. Contrasting with this capitalist paradigm is the concept of the collaborative commons, an economic and social model that emphasizes shared resources, collective responsibility, and the well-being of the community as a whole. The collaborative commons represents a shift away from the competitive, individualistic ethos of capitalism towards a more cooperative, community-oriented approach. It's a model that prioritizes equitable distribution of resources, sustainable practices, and the collective good over individual accumulation of wealth. As such, the collaborative commons offers an alternative framework that addresses many of the shortcomings of capitalism, particularly in terms of social justice, environmental stewardship, and community well-being. Beyond its practical benefits, the collaborative commons also resonates deeply with the moral and ethical teachings of many religious traditions. Most major religions, Christianity, Islam, Buddhism, and Hinduism among them, emphasizes values such as compassion, service, humility, and the equitable sharing of resources. These teachings suggest that true self-worth is not found in accumulation of material wealth, but in how one contributes to the well-being of others and the community. This perspective aligns closely with the principles of the collaborative commons, where the focus is on mutual support, shared responsibility, and the common good. This discussion will explore the intersection of capitalism, religion, and the collaborative commons, examining how these different frameworks address the concept of self-interest, wealth, and quality of life. It will consider how the collaborative commons can serve as an alternative to the capitalist model, not only from an economic and social perspective, but also as a faith-based social structure that aligns with religious teachings on self-worth and contribution. Through this exploration, we aim to shed light on how a shift towards the collaborative commons could lead to a more just, compassionate, and sustainable society, one that better reflects the ethical and spiritual values that many people hold dear. In contrast to capitalism, the concept of the collective commons offers a model that emphasizes shared ownership, cooperation, and the equitable distribution of resources. This system is designed to enhance the collective well-being rather than maximize profits for a few. It focuses on the efficient use of resources, sustainability, and ensuring that everyone has access to the essentials needed for a good quality of life. By harnessing the power of collective action and shared knowledge, the collaborative commons can potentially lead to more innovative and equitable solutions to social and economic challenges. It's important to clarify that the collaborative commons is distinct from Leninist Marxism, red communism, or any other form of authoritarian socialism. While these systems emphasize state control and centralized planning, the collaborative commons is about decentralized, community-driven resource management, where cooperation and shared responsibility are key. Unlike the top-down approaches of communism, or really capitalism, the collaborative commons promotes voluntary collaboration and grassroots empowerment to meet the needs of all individuals within a community, fostering a system rooted in equity, sustainability, and mutual support, not state control or enforced uniformity. This approach aligns with democratic values, allowing communities to thrive by prioritizing the well-being of their members through ethical and spiritual principles, without resorting to the coercive measures historically associated with authoritarian regimes. The collaborative commons presents a compelling alternative to the capitalist model, particularly in addressing the challenges of resource distribution, sustainability, and social equity. At its core, the collaborative commons is a system based on shared ownership, cooperation, and the equitable distribution of resources. Unlike capitalism, which prioritizes individual wealth accumulation and market-driven competition, the collaborative commons emphasizes collective well-being and the efficient, sustainable use of resources. In the collaborative commons, resources, whether they're land, knowledge, technology, or even infrastructure, are owned and managed collectively rather than privately. This shared ownership model encourages the pooling of resources and knowledge, which can lead to more innovative and inclusive solutions in societal challenges. For example, open-source software projects like Linux and Wikipedia embody the principles of the collective commons by allowing anyone to contribute, share, and benefit from the collective effort. This approach not only democratizes access to resources, but also ensures that the benefits of those resources are widely distributed. Unlike the competitive nature of capitalism, where individuals and corporations vie in the Thunderdome for dominance, the collaborative commons operates on the principle of cooperation. This cooperation can take many forms, from local community initiatives to global networks of collaboration. By fostering a spirit of mutual aid and support, the collaborative commons encourages people to work together towards common goals, such as environmental sustainability, social justice, and economic equality. One example of this is the sharing economy, where people share access to goods and services rather than owning them outright. Platforms like car-sharing services, tool libraries, and community-supported agriculture programs exemplify how cooperation can lead to more efficient use of resources, reduce waste, and build stronger communities. In these models, the focus is on meeting needs and providing value to the community rather than on maximizing profits for a few. A fundamental principle of the collective commons is the equitable distribution of resources. In contrast to capitalism, where wealth and resources tend to concentrate in the hands of a few, the collaborative commons seeks to ensure that everyone has access to the essentials needed for a good quality of life. This is achieved through a system that prioritizes access over ownership, such as public goods, universal basic services, and community-managed resources. For instance, in many indigenous cultures, the concept of the commons is deeply rooted in their way of life, where land and natural resources are seen as shared assets that must be managed sustainably for the benefit of all. This perspective contrasts sharply with the capitalist approach of exploiting resources for maximum short-term gain, often leading to environmental degradation and social inequalities. The collaborative commons also encourages sustainability and long-term thinking. Since resources are managed collectively with the well-being of the entire community in mind, there is a greater emphasis on preserving these resources for future generations. This contrasts with the short-term focus of many capitalist enterprises, which often prioritizes immediate profits over long-term sustainability. For example, community land trusts, CLTs, are a form of collaborative commons where land is owned and managed by a community-based organization. CLTs ensure that the land is used in a way that benefits the community, such as by providing affordable housing, preserving green spaces, or supporting local agriculture. This model promotes sustainable land use practices that prioritize the long-term health of the community and the environment over individual profit. Advances in technology have made the collaborative commons more feasible and scalable than ever before. Digital platforms, blockchain technology, and decentralized networks enable people to collaborate and share resources on a global scale without the need for centralized control. This technological empowerment allows for more democratic participation in the management of resources and reduces the barriers of entry for individuals and communities who want to contribute to the commons. For instance, the rise of decentralized energy systems, where communities generate and share renewable energy locally, exemplifies how technology can support the principles of the collaborative commons. These systems reduce dependence on large, centralized energy companies and allow communities to take control of their energy needs, leading to more sustainable and resilient energy solutions. Finally, the collaborative commons fosters the building of social capital and the strengthening of communities. By emphasizing collaboration, mutual aid, and shared responsibility, the model helps to create stronger, more cohesive communities where individuals feel a greater sense of connection and belonging. Social capital, the network of relationships and trust that enable people to work together effectively, is a key outcome in the collaborative commons, and it plays a crucial role in enhancing the resilience and well-being of communities. For example, time banks are a form of collaborative commons, where people exchange services based on time rather than money. Participants offer their skills and services to others in the community and receive time credits in return, which can then be used to purchase services from others. This system not only facilitates the sharing of resources, but also builds social bonds and a sense of reciprocity within the community. The collaborative commons offers a vision of society that prioritizes the collective good over individual wealth accumulation. It promotes shared ownership, cooperation, equitable resource distribution, sustainability, technological empowerment, and the strengthening of communities. By shifting the focus from competition and profit to collaboration and well-being, the collaborative commons presents a more ethical, sustainable, and inclusive alternative to the capitalist model. This approach is particularly relevant in addressing the social, economic, and environmental challenges of the 21st century, where the need for more equitable and sustainable solutions has never been more urgent. Throughout history, religions have provided moral and ethical frameworks that guide individuals on how to live a meaningful life. A common thread running through many of the world's major religions is the idea that true self-worth is not derived from material wealth or personal success, but rather from how one contributes to the well-being of others in the community. These religious teachings emphasize values such as compassion, service, humility, and the equitable sharing of resources. Let's explore how these principles manifest in four major religious traditions: Christianity, Islam, Buddhism, and Hinduism. That covers almost everybody on the planet. Christianity places a strong emphasis on the moral imperative to care for others, particularly the poor and marginalized. This is evident in the teachings of Jesus, who often spoke of the dangers of wealth and the virtues of charity and humility. One of the most well-known teachings comes from the Gospel of Matthew, where Jesus says, "It is easier for the camel to go through an eye of the needle than for someone who is rich to enter the kingdom of God." This passage highlights the spiritual risks associated with wealth accumulation and suggests that spiritual fulfillment is found not in material wealth, but in living a life of service to others. The early Christian communities also practiced a form of shared ownership, as described in the Acts of the Apostles. All the believers were together and had everything in common. They sold property and possessions to give to anyone who had need. This communal approach to resources reflects the Christian ideal that self-worth is rooted in one's contributions to the collective well-being of the community. Moreover, Christian teachings on charity, or agape, meaning selfless love, encourage believers to prioritize the needs of others, particularly those who are less fortunate. The parable of the Good Samaritan in Luke is a prime example, illustrating the importance of helping others regardless of their background or social status. Through acts of charity and service, Christians are taught to find true fulfillment and self-worth. In Islam, the concepts of zakat and ummah are central to the faith's teaching on social responsibility and self-worth. Zakat, or almsgiving, is one of the 5 pillars of Islam, and it requires Muslims to give a portion of their wealth to those in need. This practice is not merely an act of charity, but a mandatory form of wealth redistribution that ensures the well-being of the entire community. By fulfilling their obligation to give zakat, Muslims are reminded that their wealth is not theirs alone, but a trust from God that must be used to benefit others. The concept of ummah, or community, further reinforces the idea that individual well-being is tied to the well-being of the community. Muslims are encouraged to see themselves as part of a larger, interconnected community, where the welfare of each member is a collective responsibility. The Prophet Muhammad is reported to have said, "The believers, in their mutual love, mercy, and compassion, are like one body. When any limb aches, the whole body reacts with sleeplessness and fever." This metaphor underscores the importance of solidarity and mutual care within the Muslim community. Islamic teachings also warn against the dangers of excessive wealth and greed. The Quran states, "And those who hoard gold and silver and spend it not in the way of Allah, give them tidings of a painful punishment." This verse reflects the belief that wealth should be used responsibly and ethically, with an emphasis on supporting the less fortunate. Through the practice of zakat and the nurturing of ummah, Muslims are encouraged to derive their self-worth from their contributions to the community and their adherence to ethical principles. Buddhism teaches that the attachment to material possessions and the pursuit of wealth can lead to suffering, known as dukkha. According to Buddhist teachings, the root of suffering lies in desire and attachment, and one of the central goals of Buddhist practice is to overcome these attachments through the cultivation of mindfulness, wisdom, and compassion. In Buddhism, true self-worth is found in the practice of dana, generosity, and the cultivation of karuna, compassion. Dana is considered one of the highest virtues in Buddhism and is practiced through the acts of giving without expectation of return. This selfless giving is not limited to the material possessions, but also includes time, knowledge, and kindness. By practicing dana, Buddhists develop a sense of interconnectedness with others, recognizing that their well-being is intrinsically linked to the well-being of others. Karuna, or compassion, is another key virtue in Buddhism. The Buddha taught that cultivating compassion for all living beings is essential for achieving enlightenment. This compassion extends beyond mere sympathy. It involves actively seeking to alleviate the suffering of others. The Buddhist concept of bodhisattva embodies this ideal, an enlightened being who chooses to remain in the cycle of rebirth to help others achieve enlightenment. In this way, Buddhism emphasizes that true self-worth is achieved not through material success, but through compassionate action and the alleviation of suffering in the world. Moreover, the Buddhist emphasis on mindfulness encourages individuals to reflect on their actions and their impact on others. This practice fosters a deep awareness of the interconnectedness of all life and reinforces the idea that personal fulfillment comes from contributing to the collective well-being rather than pursuing individual gain. In Hinduism, concepts of dharma, religious duty, and seva, selfless service, play a central role in defining an individual's purpose and self-worth. Dharma refers to the moral and ethical duties that each person is expected to fulfill based on their role in society, their stage in life, and their individual nature. Fulfilling one's dharma is seen as essential for maintaining social order and harmony, and it is considered a path to spiritual growth and self-realization. Seva, or selfless service, is a key aspect of dharma and involves performing acts of kindness and service without any expectation of reward. In Hinduism, seva is considered a form of worship as it expresses devotion to the divine by serving others. The Bhagavad Gita, a sacred Hindu text, emphasizes the importance of performing one's duties selflessly. You have the right to perform your prescribed duties, but you are not entitled to the fruits of your actions. This verse underscores the importance of acting without attachment to personal gain, highlighting that true fulfillment comes from fulfilling one's dharma with integrity and dedication. Hinduism also teaches that material wealth should be used for the greater good. The concept of artha, the pursuit of wealth, is recognized as one of the 4 purusharthas, goals of life. But it is tempered by the understanding that wealth must be pursued ethically and used to support one's dharma and the well-being of society. Wealth that is hoarded or used selfishly is considered detrimental to spiritual growth. The principle of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, meaning the world is one family, reflects the Hindu belief in the interconnectedness of all beings. This concept encourages individuals to see beyond their immediate interests and to work towards the welfare of all. In this way, Hinduism teaches that self-worth is found in living a life of righteousness, fulfilling one's dharma, and serving others with compassion and humility. Across these religious traditions, Christianity, Islam, Buddhism, and Hinduism, there's a shared understanding that true self-worth is not found in the accumulation of material wealth or personal success, but in how one contributes to the well-being of others and the community. These teachings emphasize the importance of compassion, service, humility, and ethical living as the foundations of a meaningful and fulfilling life. Each religion offers its own unique perspective on how individuals should live in accordance with these values. Christianity emphasizes charity, humility, and service to others, encouraging believers to find fulfillment in acts of love and kindness. Islam stresses the importance of zakat and collective responsibility, teaching that wealth should be used for the benefit of the entire community. Buddhism advocates for detachment from material possessions and the cultivation of compassion and generosity as paths to spiritual fulfillment. Hinduism focuses on Dharma and Seva, guiding individuals to live righteous lives and to serve others selflessly as expressions of devotion to the divine. Together, these teachings offer a powerful counter-narrative to the materialism and individualism often associated with capitalist societies. They remind us that the true measure of a person lies in their contributions to the well-being of others and the collective good, rather than in the pursuit of wealth or personal gain. In this way, religious perspectives on self-worth and contribution provide a moral and ethical foundation for a more just, compassionate, and equitable society. From a religious perspective, the collaborative commons model aligns closely with these ethical and spiritual values. It promotes a society where self-worth is derived from meaningful contributions to the common good, rather than from individual material success. By fostering a system based on cooperation, shared responsibility, and the equitable distribution of resources, the collaborative commons embodies the moral principles upheld by many religious traditions. In contrast, the market-driven or capitalist model often prioritizes individual success and wealth accumulation, which can conflict with religious teachings that advocate for compassion, fairness, and the well-being of all. The disparities and inequalities that can arise within a capitalist framework may be seen as misaligned with the ethical imperatives of religious traditions that emphasize the importance of caring for the less fortunate and building a just and equitable society. The concept of the collaborative commons aligns deeply with the moral and ethical teachings found in many religious traditions, making it a compelling model for a faith-based social structure. By emphasizing shared responsibility, equitable distribution of resources, and the collective well-being of all members of society, the collaborative commons resonates with the core values of compassion, justice, and service that are central to religious life. This alignment suggests the collaborative commons could serve not only as an economic and social model, but also as the framework for living out religious and ethical principles in a tangible, community-oriented way. In the collaborative commons, the idea of shared responsibility for the community and the environment mirrors religious concepts of stewardship and guardianship. Many religious traditions teach that humans are caretakers of the earth and its resources, entrusted by the divine to manage them wisely and justly. Christianity teaches the concept of stewardship, where humans are seen as caretakers of God's creation. In Psalm 24, the Bible states, "The earth is the Lord's and everything in it, the world and all who live in it." This suggests a responsibility to manage resources not for personal gain, but for the benefit of all creation. Islam embraces the idea of khilafah, or stewardship, where humans are regarded as stewards of the earth, responsible for maintaining balance and ensuring that resources are used sustainably and justly. The Quran reminds believers, "It is He who has made you successors on the earth," reinforcing the duty to care for the environment and society. Hinduism and Buddhism also emphasize the interconnectedness of all life and the moral duty to protect the environment and uphold the balance of nature. The concept of ahimsa, or nonviolence, in Hinduism and Buddhism extends to all living beings, encouraging a way of life that minimizes harm and promotes harmony. The collaborative commons, by its very nature, embodies these principles of stewardship. In this system, resources are managed collectively with a focus on sustainability and long-term well-being, rather than on short-term profit or individual accumulation. This approach ensures that the needs of the present are met without compromising the ability of the future generations to meet their own needs, aligning with the religious imperative to care for the earth and its inhabitants. The collaborative commons also reflects religious teachings on equitable distribution of resources and the moral obligation to care for the less fortunate. Most religious traditions emphasize the importance of ensuring that all members of society have access to the basic necessities of life, such as food, shelter, health care, and education. This focus on equity and justice is a key component to the collaborative commons, where resources are shared and managed in a way that prioritizes the needs of the community as a whole, rather than allowing wealth and power to concentrate in the hands of a few. Islam mandates zakat as a form of wealth redistribution in support of those in need, reflecting the principle that those who have more are morally obligated to help those who have less. This mirrors the collaborative commons' emphasis on ensuring that resources are distributed in a way that benefits everyone, especially the most vulnerable. Christianity advocates for the sharing of resources as seen in the early Christian communities, where all believers were together and had everything in common. This communal approach is echoed in the collaborative commons, where the focus is on meeting the collective needs of the community rather than accumulating individual wealth. Hinduism and Buddhism also stress the importance of compassion and generosity, with teachings that encourage the sharing of wealth and resources as a way to reduce suffering and promote social harmony. In the collaborative commons, these religious principles are operationalized through systems that promote the fair and equitable distribution of resources. For example, community land trusts, cooperative enterprises, and peer-to-peer networks all embody the spirit of shared ownership and equitable access, ensuring that resources are used to benefit the entire community rather than enriching a select few. This creates a more just and compassionate society, where the well-being of each individual is seen as interconnected with the well-being of the whole. At the heart of the collaborative commons is the idea of community and mutual support, which is a fundamental aspect of many religious traditions. Religious communities often function as support networks where individuals come together to help one another, share resources, and work towards common goals. This sense of community is mirrored in the collaborative commons, where the focus is on collaboration, mutual aid, and collective good. In Christianity, the concept of the church as the body of Christ underscores the idea that each member has a role to play in supporting the community, much like how the collaborative commons relies on the active participation of all members to thrive. The early Christian practice of sharing resources within the community serves as a model of how the collaborative commons can function as a faith-based social structure. Islam emphasizes the concept of ummah, the global Muslim community, which is bound by a sense of solidarity and collective responsibility. The collaborative commons similarly fosters a sense of global interconnectedness, where communities work together to manage resources and solve problems in a way that benefits all. Buddhism and Hinduism, which I don't mean to always group together, both emphasize the importance of sangha, community, or dharma, religious duty, in maintaining social harmony and supporting the well-being of all members. These concepts are reflected in the collaborative commons, where individuals are encouraged to act in ways that benefit the entire community rather than pursuing narrow self-interests. The collaborative commons, by fostering strong, interconnected communities, aligns with these religious teachings on mutual support and the collective well-being. In this system, the success of the community as a whole is seen as more important than the success of any one individual, creating a society where people are motivated to contribute to the common good and support one another. One of the most profound ways in which the collaborative commons aligns with religious teachings is through the focus on ethical and spiritual fulfillment rather than material wealth. Many religions teach that true happiness and fulfillment come not from the accumulation of material goods, but from living a life of purpose, service, and spiritual growth. The Collaborative Commons supports this by promoting a way of life that is centered on meaningful work, ethical living, and the well-being of the community. Christianity teaches that material wealth is transient and that true treasure is found in living according to God's will, serving others, and building up the spiritual community. This aligns with the Collaborative Commons' focus on creating a society where the value is placed on service and contribution rather than on personal wealth. Islam emphasizes the importance of living a life in accordance with Sharia, Islamic law, which includes ethical business practices, charity, and justice. The Collaborative Commons can be seen as a modern embodiment of these principles, promoting ethical economic practices and social justice in a way that is consistent with Islamic teachings. Buddhism and Hinduism both stress the importance of living in a way that reduces suffering and promotes spiritual growth. The Collaborative Commons, with its focus on sustainability, equity, and compassion, provides a framework for living in harmony with these spiritual values. In a Collaborative Commons society, individuals are encouraged to find fulfillment in contributing to the well-being of others, engaging in meaningful work, and living in accordance with ethical principles. This creates a social structure that supports spiritual growth and moral integrity, offering a path to fulfillment that aligns closely with religious teachings. The Collaborative Commons also aligns with religious calls for social justice and equity. Many religions emphasize the importance of standing up for the oppressed, challenging unjust systems, and working towards a more equitable society. The Collaborative Commons, with its focus on fairness, shared responsibility, and the equitable distribution of resources, offers a practical framework for achieving these goals. Christianity has a long tradition of social justice advocacy, with teachings that call for the protection of the poor and vulnerable. The Collaborative Commons' emphasis on equity and shared prosperity reflects these Christian values, offering a way to address social and economic inequalities. Islam also has a strong emphasis on justice, with the concept of adl being central to Islamic teachings. The Collaborative Commons provides a model for economic and social justice that aligns with these Islamic principles, promoting a society where resources are distributed fairly and where everyone has the opportunity to thrive, even women. Hinduism and Buddhism both teach that social harmony and justice are essential for spiritual and societal well-being. The Collaborative Commons, by promoting fairness, sustainability, and collective well-being, offers a way to realize these religious ideals in a concrete and practical manner. The Collaborative Commons offers a powerful and compelling vision for a faith-based social structure. By aligning with religious teachings on stewardship, equitable resource distribution, community, and ethical living, the Collaborative Commons provides a model for a society that is both morally grounded and practically sustainable. It offers a path forward that prioritizes the collective good, fosters social justice, and supports spiritual fulfillment, making it a deeply resonant and viable alternative to market-driven capitalism. For religious communities seeking to live out their values in a tangible and meaningful way, the Collaborative Commons presents an opportunity to build a society that reflects the best of their ethical and spiritual teachings. By embracing this model, religious and spiritual communities can help create a world where self-worth is defined by contribution to the common good, and where the well-being of all is prioritized over the accumulation of wealth by a few. The tension between wealth accumulation and collective well-being is a fundamental challenge in modern society. While capitalism has driven significant economic growth and innovation, it often does so at the cost to social equity and collective well-being. The Collaborative Commons, as an alternative model, offers a path towards a society where resources are managed more equitably and where the focus is on enhancing the quality of life for all rather than on the accumulation of wealth by a few. From a religious and ethical standpoint, this model is closely aligned with the values of compassion, service, and the collective good. It provides a framework for a society where self-worth is defined by contribution and where the well-being of all members is prioritized. By moving towards such a system, we can create a more just, equitable, and spiritually fulfilling world. The exploration of capitalism, religion, and the collaborative commons reveals a profound intersection between economic systems and ethical values. Capitalism, with its emphasis on self-interest, competition, and wealth accumulation, has undoubtedly driven economic growth and innovation. However, it has also contributed to significant social and economic inequalities, environmental degradation, and a growing sense of alienation. While capitalism has been effective in creating material wealth, it often falls short in addressing the deeper human needs for community, social justice, and spiritual fulfillment. In contrast, the collaborative commons offers a compelling alternative grounded in the principles of shared resources, collective responsibility, and the common good. This model aligns closely with the teachings of many religious traditions, which emphasize that true self-worth is found not in the accumulation of wealth, but in the contributions one makes to the well-being of others and the community. By fostering cooperation, mutual support, and equitable distribution of resources, the collaborative commons provides a framework that not only addresses the shortcomings of capitalism, but also resonates with the ethical and spiritual values of compassion, justice, and stewardship. Religious perspectives from Christianity, Islam, Buddhism, and Hinduism all converge on the idea that a meaningful and fulfilling life is one that prioritizes service, humility, and the well-being of the community. These teachings challenge the capitalist focus on material success and suggest that a more equitable and sustainable way of life is possible, one that is deeply rooted in ethical principles and collective well-being. The collaborative commons, by embodying these values, offers a vision for a society where economic practices are aligned with moral imperatives and where the pursuit of wealth is balanced with a commitment for social justice and environmental stewardship. In considering the collaborative commons as a faith-based social structure, it becomes clear that this model not only provides a viable alternative to the market-driven capitalist system, but also offers a path towards a more just, compassionate, and sustainable world. By embracing the collaborative commons, societies can move towards an economic and social system that better reflects the ethical teachings of the world's major religions, prioritizing the well-being of all individuals over the accumulation of wealth by a few. Ultimately, the collaborative commons presents an opportunity to reimagine our economic and social systems in a way that places human dignity, social justice, and environmental sustainability at the forefront. It offers a vision for a future where communities are strengthened, resources are shared equitably, and individuals find fulfillment not in material wealth, but in their contributions to the common good. As such, the collaborative commons is not just an economic model, but a moral and ethical imperative that holds the promise for a more harmonious and just society for all. Thanks for tuning in. I hope you found this video informative and thought-provoking. This is the point where others tell you, if you enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing for more content just like this. But we know that kind of thing is for losers. Don't be a loser. And as always, I welcome your feedback and ideas for future videos in the comments section below. Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep embracing your inner nude, dude.